But there's another big difference between OJ and Adam Schiff's impeachment theater, puppet theater. And that's about like 85 million people missing in front of the TV sets. They're getting about like 10, 12 million people here for this theater this week. You know what? You know how many people were watching the White Bronco? I think about 95 million people. 95 million people, as opposed to 12 million people. And there's more people in the country now than there were then. So what does that tell you? I think there's a big difference between OJ and Donald and the impeachment theory. Yeah. And Gordon Sondland said there was no quid pro quo, and Adam Schiff had to run out of the room to change his diaper. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody is going to be. Where were you when Gordon Sondland said there is no quid pro quo? Which time? The first time or the 10th time he said there was no quid pro quo? But anyway, I'm. You know, it's weird that nobody's talking about this. I know it's been a long time now, and it's 56 years. JFK has been dead now much longer than he was alive, but it really was a turning point in American history. And again, I listened to the Dallas radio station for Rush, and it's the lead story on the Dallas radio station, as well it might be. But it was the country's never been the same. I mean, we can talk more about it later. But anyway, 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. But the big news is that obviously the deep state is very concerned about this report. And you know, this guy that they've nailed, he's a small fry, and he's identified. I'm not going to name him, but he's identified at the conservativetreehouse.com. And then if you go to other websites, they've got some of his emails. And he's one of these guys who said that he was texting that Trump's election was the end of the republic, and this is the end of the ACA, Obamacare. Would that it were. Would that it were. Thank you, the late John McCain, for making it not the end of ACA. And what else is there? He got tossed off the Mueller investigation as well, just like Strzok and Page and one other person who we still don't know the identity of. And so if you haven't read it, they leak. The way you know it's a leak is it went to CNN first. So CNN has got all these former deep state people, including Andrew McCabe, working for them on the payroll. So they got the leak that this guy, that there's been a criminal referral of this guy. He is a lawyer. And apparently when they were making the FISA application on Carter Page, they didn't have enough evidence to get a warrant, even with these rather compliant federal judges who seem to have no anger about being gamed by the DOJ and the FBI to give out these warrants to based on fraudulent information to surveil American citizens whose only crime was to be not on the Democrat team in 2016 and 2017 after Trump was inaugurated. So they busted this. This guy fabricated evidence to give to the FISA court. And CNN was very in the second paragraph of the story on that CNN ran, and then the Washington Post followed up with it. Was the second paragraph of CNN was This will provide ammunition for Donald Trump and his Republican allies. You mean the fact that their civil rights were violated? I mean, don't they have a right to be angry? And then the Washington Post added that, well, although this was wrong, and there are these criminal referrals against this, minor coat holder, it doesn't it doesn't rise to the level of totally rendering the FISA, the application for a court ordered warrant for surveillance, totally illegal. You know, so did anyone hear? Did I hear that anyone named in the report has received a copy of the report? Asked 781. I think most of the people have. Yeah, they've responded. I guess what happened last night was, I thought the deadline was today, but I guess the deadline was last night. Was for all the parties that are named in the report to respond. So after the deadline passed, I guess it was last night at the close of business, the story was immediately leaked to the CNN. It was probably leaked before, and they just said wait till the deadline for filing comments has passed, and then you can run with the story. The story broke, I guess, around 6:30, 7 o'clock last night on CNN, and then the Washington Post followed up with it, and then the Washington Post said the guy worked under Peter Strzok, and that was the early edition, the first filing of the story, and then they quickly struck the name of Stroke. They quit. They because they said it was. I guess they figured it was too. The story was written by this guy named Devlin Barrett. Does that name ring a bell? If you're familiar with the texts that Strzok and his horse-faced girlfriends were exchanging in 2016 and 2017, they're always leaking stuff to Devlin Barrett. At the time, he worked for the Wall Street Journal, and now he works for the Washington Post. And so Devlin Barrett wrote the story, and then he realized that he had given away the identity of the fired FBI lawyer, and so he took out the name of Strzok, but it was too late. Obviously, on the internet, everything lives forever. So this is it. So it's beginning. It's beginning. It's today's the 22nd, so the report comes out on the 9th. So it's 2 weeks from next Monday, the report comes out, and then Horowitz, the Inspector General, appears in front of Lindsey Graham's Senate Judiciary Committee on that Wednesday, December 11th, and it's off to the races. And I'm hopeful. I know Rush was saying he's rather skeptical that anything's going to come of it, but this is a start. This is a start. We've got, and I think President Trump's right. I've been saying this for a long time. This is going to be the biggest scandal in American history. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr. That's Joe Biden to Peter Doocy from Fox. Peter Doocy's the only guy who would ask him about Hunter Biden's love child. Classy. Classy. F. Chuck Todd would never do that. Andrea Mitchell, Hillary Clinton's favorite reporter, she would never ask that. Fredo Cuomo, forget about it. Don Lemon, they would never ask that question. Brian Williams, still suffering PTSD from seeing the corpse floating down Canal Street, he wouldn't ask that question. Today's poll question is brought to you by Moricello Blackberry Cello Liqueur. Whether you're having the perfect nightcap or adding a kick to your favorite Thanksgiving dessert, you'll love Moricello Blackberry Cello Liqueur. Visit hubbeverage.com. That's hubbeverage.com to find out where you could get Moricello near you. Hubbeverage.com. And the poll question concerns that inquiry by Peter Doocy from Fox of Creepy Joe. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far? Absolutely not wrong. And, you could make the argument that maybe just as the children shouldn't be responsible for the sins of their father or their mother. The parents shouldn't be responsible for the sins or the crimes of their children. But the fact is, Donald Trump would have been asked that question. So damn right, we're not going to have any more double standards around here. If it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gander. Absolutely. And again, I would be embarrassed if I were the other reporters who'd been covering Creepy Joe before Peter Doocy arrived on the scene that hadn't asked him about that. And how about the fact too? Here's something else that's really pitiful when it comes to the mainstream media. You know the story about the paternity test? I believe it was broken by the Daily Mail in London. The Daily Mail, not one of those crackerjack Pulitzer Prize winning scribes who deeply reported the Russian hoax story for all those years. No, it was somebody on Fleet Street broke the story. It's pitiful. 844-500-4242. 617 CNN's McCabe, their newest correspondent, is prohibited from commenting on the FISA report. Well, is he prohibited from commenting on it? I heard he was on with Fredo last night on CNN. I mean, nobody would know because nobody watches CNN. But wasn't he on with him? How can you not ask him about that? I mean, don't you at least say, I'd like to ask Andrew McCabe, who's the subject of a criminal referral himself, about this latest criminal referral by the Inspector General of the Justice Department. But can you comment on this, Andrew McCabe? I mean, don't you at least ask him that question? Don't you at least get him on the record like Doocy did with Creepy Joe about Hunter Biden's love child, Burisma Biden? We'll have your questions when we come back. We'll take your calls. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr. 844 500 4242 617 asks, did Hunter Biden start sleeping with his dead brother's wife before or after his cocaine troubles? Just want to chronologically figure it out. It is kind of confusing, but that's why I recommend going to the Daily Mail. They have a chart to kind of try to help you straighten it out. But you probably have to study it pretty closely. I also recommend the New Yorker story about Hunter Biden just for general giggles. I mean, I know it's pitiful to have an addiction problem like that, but just trying to watch him lay it out to a Democratic stenographer, to try to get it out in the open. But it's I mean, obviously, it's beyond getting it out in the open. It's is that the owl? Is that the owl? Is it? Sounds kind of like a dog too. Is that the owl that flew in front of his car when he was in the Nevada desert, like the bats flew in front of the other Hunter S. Thompson, in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? They're the bats. I understand. I get the bats. I'm just not sure about the owls. All right, 844 500 4242. Let me just read you this from the CNN exclusive, hand-fed to them by their colleagues in the deep state, trying to convert America, trying to transform America into a banana republic. The possibility of a substantive change to an investigative document is likely to fuel accusations from President Donald Trump and his allies that the FBI committed wrongdoing in its investigation of connections between Russian election meddling and the Trump campaign, period. But shouldn't there be a comma? Shouldn't there be a comma, which did not exist because there were no connections? And they didn't alter a document. They falsified a document. Can we use the right word? Alter, it makes it sound like they corrected a typo. They misspelled a word. And so they changed the document. No, this guy falsified the document to present it to a judge. And all these applications for a warrant are presented under pains and penalties of perjury. You have to swear. You have to put your signature at the bottom that the statement that you've given the judge before he issues the warrant or doesn't issue the warrant is true. That's why this guy is in a jam. That's why there's been a criminal referral. And, he's not going to have his mousy little girlfriend at the Justice Department, trimming his goatee anymore if this doesn't work out for him. He's going to have Bubba at Allenwood, or he's going to be doing 30 days in the hole, as Humble Pie likes to say. 844 it couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people. But I just hope it just doesn't stop with this little pajama boy lawyer. I just hope it goes all the way to the top, or as close as it can to the top. 844 500 4242. It's a marvelous day in the neighborhood. We're here in sunny South Florida, enjoying ourselves, and we'll have the usual stuff. Grace will be with me at 4:00. In Boston, we'll be doing Police Blotter Facts Friday. We have all the usual stuff that you expect on a Friday from the Howie Carr Show. 844 500 4242. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John. You know what, John? I didn't even look at who led them in prayer. I just looked at the headline and I said, I don't think I want to know any more about this. What exactly were they toasting, though? I mean, were they drowning their sorrows, or were they celebrating? And when they went to this little bistro on Capitol Hill after the hearings wrapped up? Yes, yeah. Yes, I'm sure it was too. Thanks for the call, John. 844-500-4242. My call screener's down. Who's next? Alan, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Alan. Yeah. Well, that's an old joke. The more diminutives you have in your title, the more of a hack you are. So that guy George Kent, the guy with the bow tie, wasn't he a deputy assistant secretary of state? So he had two diminutives in his title, and he wasn't even in Ukraine. He's back at Foggy Bottom. Not only do you have all these factotums and big feet prowling around Kiev or whatever they call it nowadays, but you got all the people that they're reporting to at the State Department. And here's the thing too, Alan. Did you notice that none of them seem to know about the details of all the dirty tricks that have been going on? She claimed what was it? The one Fiona Hill said that she didn't know anything about whether or not the Hillary Clinton campaign had paid for the dodgy dossier. Did you remember that? She didn't know that. I'm not familiar with that, mate. Oh, I don't know the answer to that, Governor. I heard it was the DNC. I mean, what are these? Who do these people think they? I mean, do they expect us to believe this? They're the greatest experts in the world when it comes to Ukraine, but they don't know anything about what's going on politically. And she got the dossier from Strobe Talbot, who's like this career hack going back to Bill Clinton days. Strobe Talbot. They were all tied up. And then the Holmes, the guy who was drinking wine, Spodioti drinking wine and listening in on the cell phone conversation, his wife is the top aide to Yovanovitch. And Yovanovitch is, she's in therapy apparently, or she certainly seemed to be in therapy. She was treated so shabbily by President Trump. She's still making like $175,000 a year, and she's from the State Department, and she's at Georgetown University. I mean, death, where is thy sting for these people? They just and it occurred to me last night that I think one reason why these impeachment hearings went over so badly is that even if you're not following it, even if you just like stop in and you just look at all these people, just pick any of them. They're like the officious, imperious factotums that you run into at any town hall or city hall or state agency or federal bureaucracy. And I'm not saying everybody that works in a government agency is a jerk, but a larger percentage than the general public. They have this inflated view of themselves. The power has gone to their heads, and it was pretty clear to me that I don't know a lot of people from the State Department, but I know people who work in bureaucracies, and these were like the worst, the kinds of people that you run into. People who you can't get a permit for that. Don't you know the deadline has passed? You live in a historical district. You can't put aluminum siding up on your house. Why don't you have a license for your dog? Where's the dump sticker on your car? I mean, these people are at a different level. I mean, they would say they're at a much superior, higher level, but it's the same attitude. They think they're better than you and me. And in the case of these people who have been testifying for the last week, they think they're better than the president of the United States. 844-500-4242. Thanks for the call, Alan. Dave, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Dave. No, he said that today. Dave, Dave, he said today on Fox and Friends, I don't know if you saw that. He was on for almost an hour with Steve and Brian and Ashley, and he said, people say, he's going to replace Pence with Nikki Haley, and he said he loves Nikki Haley, but he Mike Pence has done a good job. I mean, what do you want Mike Pence to have done, Dave? Uh, I don't know. I mean, did that really work out well with the Spiro Agnew? If indicted, I shall not resign. If indicted, I shall not resign. I mean, that I don't know about that. I think that Trump, it's like Trump basically doesn't have a press secretary because he wants to handle it himself. I think the same thing applies to Pence. I mean, he doesn't need a press secretary, and he doesn't need a Spiro Agnew pit bull. He can these are jobs that he not only can handle but wants to handle, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I just can't see I just can't see him getting rid of Pence. I mean, I think this reminds me that 56 years ago today, JFK apparently, according to Evelyn Lincoln, his secretary, he had told her that they were dumping LBJ as vice president in '64, and they were getting ready to replace him with Governor Terry Sanford of North Carolina. And of course, it never happened because he was assassinated. But the difference is LBJ was tied up in an amazing scandal. People were testifying in front of a Senate subcommittee that he was LBJ had been shaking them down, and Bobby Baker was about to be flipped, the former secretary to the Senate from when LBJ was the majority leader. I mean, LBJ. There's a good if JFK doesn't get assassinated, there's a good chance LBJ not only doesn't get renominated as vice president, but it's also a good chance he gets indicted and sent to prison. So, I mean, that's one reason why LBJ is on not my short list of suspects, but he's on some people's short list of suspects. 844 500 4242 617 says, "Do you know the building inspector in my town? Oh my God." That what I'm saying, 617, is that everybody knows people like that. If if you're a certain age, you've had dealings just in your everyday life with officious government bureaucrats, pests who try to bother you, and that's the vibe all of these people gave off, and that's why I think that's one reason why, even if you're not paying that much attention, you just have a cold feeling towards this whole kangaroo court that's going on. 844 500 4242. I'm Howie Carr.
Yeah,
Hey, how you
yeah,
doing?
I would rather take the gear out of here, do it in like an outside office. I don't want to interrupt the show. And then go from there. Yeah, all the laptops on here. Yeah. I have them. Yeah, let's use yours. Let's iron out the roads there. And then come back.
Guilty of what? What the hell did he do? I read stories. People say, why aren't the Republicans punching back more? I mean, how do you punch back when they're just flailing away and they're just making crap up? He hurt my feelings. He's got to be impeached. Doesn't he understand I'm a humble immigrant to this land making $190,000 a year to work 4 days a week telecommuting from my home in the DC suburbs, and he didn't respect me. He must be removed. He's an evil orange man. What did he do? I was talking about the attitude of these bureaucrats and how galling it is to people who've had to deal with bureaucrats at any level. Here's a one from 860. Farmer John again. Trust me, the pompous attitude goes all the way down to the Farm Service Agency loan officer. After all, he's just loaning me back some of my own money. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it finally occurred to me that, even though the ratings are dreadful, very few normal or average people that work for a living are watching this stuff. They're still angry about this because we've all been through this. It's like trying to renew your driver's license and getting the runaround. You don't mind I mean, you're irritated if you have to wait in line, but it's more irritating if if you have to wait in line and then the person's giving you some attitude when you get up to the front of the line. I can't take a credit card. You can't write a check. You didn't bring your birth certificate. What do you think you are, an illegal alien that can come in here, walk in, and just get a driver's license? 844-500-4242. Jack, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jack. Thank you. She had a lot of gall. She had a lot of gall to compare herself to Ambassador Stevens, too, didn't she? Yeah. Yeah. I think things are looking up for him. I still think it's going to be fairly close. I don't think it's going to be like a landslide, but I think it's looking better and better for him. They've really they've really overplayed their hand here. I mean, this is barely something to complain about in an op-ed. And they're trying to impeach him. Yeah, this is ridiculous. 978 says Trump has Pence for the evangelical vote. I think he originally, that was part of the reason Pence was nominated, but I don't think he needs Pence for the evangelical vote. I think he just appreciates loyalty, and Pence is a very loyal guy. I'm Howie Carr. explosions, the bombshells, the closing in of the walls, the noose tightening. It's all over in D.C. The Capitol has been practically destroyed, if you believe all those headlines and those breathless Democrat operatives with press passes in front of microphones. 844-500-4242. Isn't it ironic, too, that the leaks are starting to come out about the Inspector General's reports about the FBI's misfeasance, malfeasance, and nonfeasance in the attempted coup against President Trump. They start on the same day that the Clint Eastwood movie about Richard Jewell reaches the theaters of America. It's rather ironic. I'd forgotten all about that movie until I saw it mentioned on TV today, and a couple of the texters have just mentioned it. It's I should always include Richard Jewell in there when I talk about the FBI. You know how they framed the guys at Boston, and you know the six FBI agents on the payroll, a later generation of them in Boston on the gangsters' payroll. The Parkland shooting, getting the tip from the shooter's aunt to the FBI tip line, never did anything. The tip from the Russian Secret Service to the FBI to watch out for the Tsarnaev brothers before they blew up the Boston Marathon, and then you have the Richard Jewell situation in Atlanta. You know they framed the guy, was, as he said, you know, the poor fat guy, the security guard. He was the hero, and they tried to frame him. I mean, I know he got a payment of, you know, a couple of $1 million from all the media outlets that libeled him, but he was basically railroaded by the FBI, just like they tried to railroad Carter Page. We tried to get Carter Page on the show today, but unfortunately, he made a commitment to a prime time cable host tonight, so that's what he's going to do. He's not going to be with us. He wished us well, though, right, Taylor? He seems like he's in a pretty happy mood. Yeah. He's going to be pricing real estate down in sunny South Florida pretty soon, I would think. You know, I mean, not that it's worth going through the hell he's been through. He even lost his girlfriend, Taylor. You know, she dumped him when she thought he was a Russian spy. But you know, he's going to get some kind of reparation, shall we say? Right. Exactly. I lost my girlfriend. So, Grace, are you there? I lost my. They put some surveillance cameras and microphones on my pickup truck and on my shotgun rack. And I opened a Pabst Blue Ribbon, and a microphone from a bug from the FBI come out. Yeah, you could write a song pretty easily. Grace, are you there? (978) says you should be smiling. Are you not smiling today, Grace? It's Friday. Really? A- 808 said that the Carter Page said Happy Thanksgiving to everyone except Brandon. Did Carter Page mention Brandon? That's a good question, 808. So did he mention Brandon or not, or did he just mention the three of us? you know where Peter Ducey went to college, right, Grace? No, he went to a college where one of your siblings goes to the today. He's a wildcat. Why? He's a Democrat. He's a Democrat. Again, Grace, how many times have we talked about this? You got to treat the guy with kid gloves. How about this? How about this? How about this, Grace? Creepy Joe. Hunter was cheating on your daughter-in-law. And I don't mean his wife. I mean your other son's wife. Millions, millions. You know, it's an amazing thing, Grace. Ayanna Pressley, when she was on the Boston City Council, I think they wanted to elect a black woman as president of the Boston City Council, you know, one of those historic firsts. But nobody really liked Ayanna Pressley. She didn't play well with others. So she could get elected to Congress, but she couldn't get elected president of the Boston City Council. So now the fake Indian has appointed her as the one of the co-chairs of her campaign. The hearings, a show trial. What do you mean window test? Did somebody try to shoot him or something, and the bullet went through, or what? What is the window test? Right, with his mom. Yeah, right, right. Yeah. If if you're the kite, if you want a pickup truck, do you really care about having a Tesla pickup truck? I don't think so. I think you want a Ford pickup truck, don't you? Hey, Yeah, don't bogart that joint, Musk, the next time you go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Okay, are they smoking more weed over there at Tesla headquarters? Uber Jason says it sounds like sabotage of Tesla. Ford is fighting back. I don't think Ford or Chevy has anything to worry about from the Tesla pickup trucks. What do they go for? $200,000 for really? You're kidding. All right. Well, I have to have bulletproof glass on my just just in case the ghost of Whitey comes back. I want to be prepared. I'm not shopping for a Tesla pickup. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.